Assalamu alaikum. So, Alhamdulillah, I got married and I relocated to Indonesia as a foreign Muslim. So, this video, you're going to get a better insight onto healthcare. So, you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. So, yeah, inshallah, it's going to be of benefit to you. So, we're basically going to talk about emergencies and then private healthcare. So, two different sides to it. So, in terms of emergencies, you've got something called the BPJS. So, this is mandatory for Indonesian citizens. So if you get married here, your wife, it is technically mandatory. And it is also technically mandatory for residents staying over 6 months. Supposedly, the enforcement of it's not too high, but it is technically mandatory. So this is pretty much like the NHS in England. So it's the public healthcare and it costs, unlike the NHS in the UK where it's free, this is basically free. It costs between 35 and 150k. So the reason it's between that is because there's different tiers. So you've got class 3, class 2, class 1. So the higher tiers, you're going to get a better service. If you're on the lower tier, for example, and let's say your wife's giving birth, she's going to be in a room with like 6 other women and whatnot. So, yeah. But that's extremely cheap. For if you don't know the conversion, that's less. 35k is less than $2, and 150k is like $7. So it's not a lot per month. So yeah, if you're in an emergency, you can just show up to any hospital in all of Indonesia, and they can't refuse you if you have BPJS. If you don't have BPJS, you're going to be paying a very, very hefty fee. So for non-emergencies, you go to a place called FKTP. They check you they do basic checks, and if you need anything further, then you will be referred to a hospital. So very much like in the UK at least, where you pretty much you go to one place and then you're probably queuing for hours, which is not really going to be the nicest. You're queuing for hours, then you get a referral, and maybe the referral's for an appointment that comes in a week or even multiple weeks. So, yeah, it's going to be very similar realistically, and well, it is very similar. I mean, yeah, it's free healthcare, so you don't have to pay anything other than that monthly fee. Um, yeah, emergencies, checkups, dentists, etc. It all works like this. Like I mentioned, you've got the emergency side of it where you just show up and they can't reject you. And then for the non-emergencies, it is also free. Now, whether this is designed okay Islamically, it's not for me to say. I'm not a scholar. I know within Indonesia, many of the scholars say, well, of course, because it's mandatory, it does change the ruling. Whether it's designed correctly, though, that's not for me to say. I know that scholars here do criticize it, how it's designed with late payment fees, etc. But when it's mandatory, it does change the ruling. So, yeah. In terms of private healthcare, so it's way higher quality. You can get blood work, checkups, dentist, etc. And it's really good quality. It is, and they're going to speak English. If you go to the public healthcare, they're not really going to speak any English. Like when I had to go just because it was a specific document I needed. I had to go to the public one, and it didn't speak any English at all, no English. Um, so the private though, they all speak English where I've been to, and it's still very cheap compared to the West. Like if you go to get an ultrasound if your wife's pregnant, it costs 350,000 rupiah, which is about what's that like 16, $17. So, yep. Um, and that was a very, very good hospital, very good private hospital where you show up and they just it's just you go in instantly. You can book it the same day, next day, whatnot. It's very good quality. Dentist. So I had like a checkup which is free. Scaling was 200,000. And a filling I know costs 500,000. So yeah, that's just some references. So 200k being about $10, 500k being about $25. You can basically do um, divide by what's it called? Well, it's a crazy amount, but basically divide by two and then put it into the reasonable dollar amount, pretty much. Um, there or thereabouts. $1 is 17,000 rupiah, just for reference. So yeah. Um, it's yeah, you're seen instantly rather than waiting long times. Like I mentioned with the BPJS, you're gonna have to go to this place where you're gonna queue for hours. Maybe even you don't get seen, and you've got to go back another day, and then um, you got to wait. Then you've got a referral, and then they've got to get you in a slot in a few weeks or whatnot. So yeah, this is going to be seen instantly. It's going to be good healthcare. Supplements are extremely cheap, so I like supplements. I like to optimize the hormones and whatnot, and they're very, very cheap. You can just order them on Shopee. Shopee's like such a good website. Oh, app. You can literally order it. It's like Amazon, but absolutely everything, and it's usually free delivery. You can go order supplements on there as well. And yeah, you can get blood work done often to optimize. So if you wanted to optimize yourself, you can get blood work done a lot cheaper than you would in the West. So you can be taking whatever vitamin D, testosterone, etc. tests often, and it's going to cost a lot less, which is a good thing, very good thing. So what is the strategy? So have BPJS as a backup, but use private for anything except emergencies. So just having the BPJS there in case you're in a motorbike crash, in case your wife has to have a C-section, etc., in pregnancy. But use private for everything else. If you're coming as a foreigner, it's really not going to be very expensive to you. So it makes a lot of sense to be doing private healthcare. And it is very good, alhamdulillah. It's actually really good service, the private healthcare here. So yeah, inshallah, that's been a benefit to you. And if you're looking to get married here in Indonesia yourself, then you can go to the link in the description and we can get on a free call. There's also a free guide in there on literally how do you find an Indonesian woman if you're wanting to do that. So inshallah, that can be a benefit to you. And I will see you there. Assalamu alaikum.